Raz, dwa, trzy. Raz, dwa, dwa, trzy, trzy. Raz, dwa, trzy.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you now a bit about Harman. The big company Harman, I don't know how many of you know, Harman is not just a company that makes live sound equipment, so-called professional audio. We're a much bigger company than that. So this short presentation is about who Harman is, what they do, whereabouts they are in the world and how they do it. So Harman is a big American-owned company. These are the three main aims of the company, and they're involved in all kinds of markets, not just professional audio. The car audio is one of the biggest parts of Harman. Home audio is another big part of Harman, and then the professional audio is actually about 20% of Harman's turnover. So it's quite a small part, really. Here's some figures that might be interesting in terms of how much revenue Harman generates as an overall company. So it's $6.2 billion in revenue, and you can see there's 27,000 people working for Harman. That sounds incredible to those of us, even myself and Vinny, who work there. We can't imagine 27,000 people working for Harman, but that's the truth apparently. Nearly half of those people, 12,000, are engineering people, so it's an engineering company, and the rest of them are obviously sales, marketing, and accounting and so on. They're very, very keen on innovation in Harman, so they have a very strong patent area, so they're always striving to produce patents on all the innovations and the engineering things that they design, whether it's in automotive or in professional audio. So you can see 5,700 patents protecting the Harman designs. And it's not every company that can really afford to be able to protect their innovations and their designs like that, so we're very privileged in Harman to have that possibility. And then just in the middle there at the bottom you can see 16 legendary brands, so there's really a lot of brands that make up the Harman portfolio. This is just a picture of some of the history that they've had. Harman started way back in the 1920s was the Altec Lansing, which is the forerunner of JBL. So this is some of the historical milestones that you can trace back to the history of JBL and some of the other brands, Harman Kardon, for example, in home audio. The company was started by a man called Sidney Harman, an American guy, and he started making audio equipment, and the Harman Kardon brand was originally his company. But then he started to expand, he bought lots of other companies, the JBL brand became part of his organisation, and he went on to purchase all these other brands over sort of the second half of the 20th century. And then Harman's aim is to try to be number one in each market that they serve, so whether it's in-car audio, whether it's home audio, or whether it's professional audio, the brands that they have got involved with they try to pick the number one or the number two brand in those markets. This also shows you the split in terms of how much revenue they generate between these different parts of the company. So you can see on the car audio, $3.1 billion. If you go over to the professional solutions, which is where we are here today, just over 1 billion. So 3 times more turnover they do in the car audio, and they make incredible number of car brands are actually using Harman equipment. It's not usually seen because you don't see the Harman brand in the car, but a lot of cars that you get into will have a Harman system, whether it's the sat-nav or the radio system. The electronics that the cars are supplied with are actually made by Harman. The one on the right there is called Connected Solutions. This is a new area that Harman is going into to do with web hosting, cloud cloud-based data solutions, and being able to integrate that kind of technology into product development across all of these other brands. Lifestyle audio is what they call the home consumer hi-fi, so the iPod speakers, the home cinema systems, and that kind of thing would fall into the lifestyle division, which is also bigger than the professional division, as you can see, in terms of the money that they make. And then where is Harman? Well, they've got offices all over the world. Those 27,000 people that we saw they had are spread over countries here. This map apparently doesn't represent sales companies, it represents actual Harman offices. So they have development, they have sales, accounting, different people spread all over the world. A lot of software development, for example, is done remotely now in places like India, China. We have a big presence in China, as you can see on the map. So we're literally spread all over the world. And the thing about Harman, as I said, is that Harman itself is just a collection of brands, really. Harman doesn't make a product itself. It's collected a whole load of companies, Soundcraft, JBL, BSS, for example, in the pro audio side, where originally privately owned companies, they were purchased by Harman as a kind of umbrella company. And that's what their ethos is, really. They put brands together, they make a strong image to the market by taking leading brands. Their sort of history and the way that they stay strong in the market is helped by the fact that they partner up with people in the entertainment industry, brand ambassadors they call them in America. So you've got here some collections of people in the music world and the sports world who are associated with Harman. They do sponsorships with these people. They use them for promotional purposes, for receiving information in order to develop better products, and so on. And in the entertainment industry, there's a whole load of artists that use Harman equipment, whether it's in live use or whether it's in recording studios or broadcast radio studios, and that's a collection of some of those people. In terms of our professional side that we're talking about today, then they have loads and loads of prestigious installs across the world. There's some examples of those, including religious places in the States and in the Middle East. And then I talked to you about the car audio. This is a list of all of the brands of cars that Harman supplies the audio systems for. So, I mean, there's too many to notice there, really. It's just almost every brand of car you can think of, it seems, has a Harman system in there. I was actually surprised when I saw how many cars have Harman in it. It used to be just BMW and a few others, but that is the list. But if we come back just finally to our professional audio division, then these are the brands that I don't know how many of you know are part of the Harman portfolio. So this is where our partners ESS are selling in Poland all of these brands. JBL and Soundcraft represented here today. We've also got AKG products for you to look at. Crown amplifiers built inside the JBL line arrays. Lexicon effects built inside the console here, and also BSS and DBX processing inside the console. AMX is a relatively new acquisition for Harman. AMX is a company that makes basically control systems for, not really in touring systems, but more in hotels, systems where large places like conference centres where you need to be able to do automation and control over very, very large networks. And then Martin Lighting, you probably know, was purchased by Harman about 2 years ago. That's another recent acquisition. So they have all of the parts of a sound system under one umbrella. And this is quite a unique thing about Harman. There's no other company that can really offer every part of a sound system under one sales channel, if you like. And it also means we as individual brands can work together and we can try to create some integration and some communication between the different products, which gives us an advantage that nobody else can really match in the industry. For example, we can, just an example of that, the console here, we have the thing called HiQnet that many of you may have heard of. This is the Harman control network communication system, and it allows the amplifiers, the microphones, and the console to be on the same network, and we can transfer data between all the devices. It's very important for JBL and Crown because that's what's used for setting up and controlling all the line array speakers. But in the console, we can actually monitor some of the network, and we can, for example, we can show error messages from Crown amplifiers. If there's a loading problem or any kind of temperature issue, we can pick that up from the network and display it on the console. We can also display the status of these AKG microphones, battery level, and whether it's muted or not, right on the channel strip of the console. And we'll talk about that.